Hello guys, I have created a simple responsive navbar and wanted to share it with you. In this video, I will walk you through the code I wrote using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Without further ado, let's get started with the video. But before going through the code, let's see why do we need a navigation bar. The purpose of a navigation bar is to help your user browse through your website effortlessly. A navigation bar is usually placed at the top of your website. On the mobile phone, the navigation bar is usually placed on your website's top left and looks like a hamburger or a hamburger button. Here's a glimpse of what an ideal responsive navbar might look like, with the logo positioned on the left side and standard elements on the right, complemented by a compact drop-down menu. When viewed on mobile device, the design shifts gears. Instead of displaying all elements, a menu icon takes center stage. A simple tap on this icon reveals a smooth sliding animation, unveiling a menu that mirrors the desktop version, complete with a concise drop-down list. Now let's take a quick tour of the code responsible for crafting this responsive navbar experience. Now, as I dive into the VS Code editor, I have got my files set up, CSS and JavaScript neatly linked with the HTML. Let's dissect the backbone of this navbar, split into two realms, one for desktop navigation and the other tailored for mobile devices. First up is the desktop navigation. I have broken it down into two segments, the logo and part 2, which houses all the fundamental elements of a navigation bar. This section includes a nifty drop-down menu for language selection, topped off with a discrete menu icon at the end. Notably, the icon only makes its appearance when the screen width dwindles below 600 pixels. Now, on to the second part, the slider. Exclusively designed for mobile phones, it mirrors the desktop version with all the essential elements intact. Let's shift our focus to the CSS file, where I have employed media queries to ensure the navbar gracefully adapts to varying screen sizes, delivering that responsive magic. In CSS, starting with the universal selector, I have initialized padding and margin to 0 to override default behaviors. The body has a background color of Alice Blue and a font family of Poppins, sourced from Google Fonts. List styles are set to none, eliminating default dots on list items. The logo has a cursor pointer for better interactivity. Moving on to the main style of the navbar, I have employed a flex display with justified content spaced between, aligning the logo and elements at the extremes. The second part of the navbar utilizes flex display, centering elements and introducing spacing with the gap property. For language options, a similar approach is taken, with the addition of a small arrow created through border manipulation and rotation. The drop-down list uses absolute positioning with respect to its parentive, ensuring convenient placement below the language section. Initially, the drop-down has zero opacity and hidden visibility. The menu icon and slider are set to display none, exclusively for mobile visibility. With the media query, targeted for screens up to 600 pixels, I hide part 2 of the navbar and display the menu icon. The slider, now a flex column with initial width at 0, hidden visibility and 0 opacity, is styled for mobile use. Hover effects are added to each element, and the drop-down menu is set to grid display. Lastly, the drop-down effect mimics the desktop style for a consistent user experience. In JavaScript, I have initialized 3 toggle variables, each set to 0, corresponding to the slider, desktop dropdown, and phone dropdown. I have utilized query selector to target specific classes for interaction. 3 event listeners have been implemented to handle clicks on the slider, desktop dropdown, and phone dropdown. For the slider, When the menu icon is clicked, a smooth slide animation is triggered by transitioning the width from 0 to 100%, and the toggle is set to 1. Subsequently, if the user clicks the menu icon again, the else block executes, returning the slider to its default state with hidden visibility and zero opacity. In case of the desktop dropdown, a subtle animation is applied to the arrow. When the languages div is clicked, the arrow smoothly rotates in the opposite direction. Clicking the languages div again causes the dropdown to disappear, and the arrow animation reverses. Similarly, for the mobile phone dropdown, the same concept is applied. Clicking the associated div reveals the dropdown, and a subsequent click hides it. This creates a consistent and interactive user experience across different devices. Remember, building responsive design is not just about code. It's about creating a positive user experience. Whether your viewers are on a desktop, tablet, or smartphone, they will be able to effortlessly explore your website with a responsive navbar. I hope this walkthrough has been informative and empowering for your coding journey.